The fact that some of you are cheering on the fact that a man got shot in front of his 2 kids, I don't care!
Another tragedy has shocked America, but unsurprisingly, TikTok crazies are celebrating it. We're going to react to the disturbing online celebration and fallout of the assassination of MAGA star influencer Charlie Kirk that happened yesterday, and so much more, so many more elements of the fallout from this horrific event on today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast, my daily show where we take on the craziest ideas from across the internet, our media, and our politics, all from an independent perspective. First, guys, I uploaded a couple emergency YouTube videos over the last 24 hours talking about this controversy, but if you haven't heard me speak on it yet, my heart goes out to Charlie's family. I'm so horrified by this. I find it so un-American, so evil that somebody was killed just because of expressing their opinions. Most likely, the shooter is still at large at the time of this recording. I'm hoping he's brought swiftly to justice and held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. I believe that all political violence, whether it's targeting the right, the left, the center, what have you, is evil and wrong, and that we desperately need to take the temperature down in this country with our culture war and rhetorical battles. Everyone's a Nazi or an un-American traitor. We're actually, most of us, good, at least in part, at heart, and want what's best for America. We just have very different ideas about how to get there, and I want to recommit to that purpose, but the people on TikTok do not. Thankfully, most, I would say, mainstream media personalities, even Democratic politicians, left-wing progressive politicians have come out and condemned this. They do not support this, whether that's Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Obama, and so on. They're all very clearly not in support of this kind of direct violence. However, the online left is, much of it, they are in celebration mode over this man being shot in gruesome fashion in front of his 2 children. You can't make this up. All over TikTok, these videos have hundreds and hundreds and thousands, if millions of views, and hundreds of thousands of likes and comments. Every post about this, some people in the comments are like, nah, I'm happy. Nope, it's good. He got what's coming to him. LOL, love this. It's sick. It's hard to tell how widespread the sentiment is, but it's not a tiny fringe. It's at least a substantial minority that has genuinely lost the plot. And that's what we're going to talk about and react to in this episode. So let's look at this first TikTok about somebody saying why they don't care that Charlie Kirk had a family because he's bad, apparently.
And all you motherfuckers think that he had a wife and kids, so what? So what, legitimately, though? Because you guys are really quiet about Mexicans getting deported, getting ripped from their families. What about their wives? What about their kids, right? But one rich motherfucker dies, and that's not okay. That's where you guys draw the line. Stop sucking dick for people that don't give a fuck about you. Like,
oh my gosh. I've already seen this video, obviously, because I prepared this episode. I'm still shook by just how deranged these people are. The nose ring community is not doing well at the moment. They are crashing out, and they are revealing. I'm sure there's some of y'all with the nose rings that are lovely people out there. It's not all. But your representatives online are giving demonic increasingly with every post. And that's what that is. Say, oh, well, he supported deporting illegal immigrants, so I don't care if he's murdered in cold blood. The math does not math there. People can have different views on immigration and who should be allowed in a country. It's actually a very complicated issue that people of good faith can disagree with. And even if you think his view on that is bad or wrong or even immoral, that still doesn't justify murder. That still doesn't justify children growing up without a father. Do you hear yourself? Are you really this sadistic and this dehumanized? Because, I mean, guys, that video got, let's see, 93,000 likes. 93,000 people and counting. It's probably more. I took the screenshot of the likes a while ago. Saw that video. We're like, yeah, that's amazing. I agree. Charlie Kirk's kids are going to grow up without their father. Double tap. Like, LOL. Haha. He didn't agree with me on immigration, so that's fine. Y'all are demented. I don't want to share a country with you. I don't know how to say this, but I have lots of respect for disagreement. I know I have followers. I have friends in political media that are far left, far right, and everywhere in between. If you are like this, I don't want you in my audience. I don't want you in my country, frankly. Like, America is supposed to be where we agree to disagree, where we coexist, where we settle our differences with ballots, not bullets. But some of y'all are this demented. And I think it is absolutely reprehensible. And we're just getting started. There are so many more of these videos. This next one is really disgusting. really actually just evil. We're going to take a look at it after this. If you've been living on credit cards to cover your gas, groceries, and bills, you know those interest rates are brutal. So why keep paying 20% interest or more to the banks when you could call my friends at American Financing today? They have mortgage rates in the fives, and they are showing people every day how to keep more of their hard-earned money in their pockets and out of the hands of credit card companies. Right now, American Financing is helping homeowners save an average of $800 a month by using their home equity to wipe out high-interest debt, with no upfront fees, no obligation, and just a 10-minute call to a salary-based mortgage consultant. And here's the kicker. If you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments, putting more cash in your hands. So don't wait. Call American Financing now at 866-891-4811. That's 866-891-4811. 866-891-4811, or visit americanfinancing.net/Brad Polumbo. You'll be glad you did. Now back to today's show. So a not tiny amount of this criticism and support for his murder, for Charlie Kirk's murder, comes basically because he was an ardent pro-life person. Yeah, seriously, like that's their argument, that he disagreed with me on abortion and held a position pretty much all the way to one extreme. So therefore, I don't care that he was murdered in cold blood for exercising his free speech. That's what they're going with. Listen to this.
That man said with his whole chest and proud of it, your body, my choice, and I'm supposed to feel bad because somebody made his body their choice? Pass.
What? First off, I do not think Charlie Kirk ever said, your body, my choice. That's a Nick Fuentes line, and Charlie Kirk was at odds with the alt-right in many ways. Even if he did, though, regardless, doesn't justify murder. What you're saying is because he was pro-life, which is a very complicated philosophical, moral, and scientific debate, and believed that an unborn child or a fetus is a human, and therefore that's more important than the woman's right to autonomy over her own body. Therefore, because he believes that, you don't care if someone murders him. So what? Is half the country fair game to just shoot through the neck? Like, you really don't leave the arrogance that this complicated issue that has divided ethicists for as long as they've been discussing it, and that people have all sorts of religious and political arguments about and on either side, is so actually black and white. This TikToker has it so figured out that it's just bad versus good, evil, and if you have this one opinion she thinks is wrong, you should be killed, and that's fine. Like, this is an anti-human ideology. This is an anti-civilization ideology, because civilization requires that we leave space to live alongside people with different values and beliefs, and we don't all just kill each other. That is madness. And I mean, it's all just so outrageous. The top comment on this video is, statistically, his daughters are safer now. 22,000 likes. What is wrong with y'all? His daughters are in mourning that they lost their father. They're going to grow up without a father, and you're baselessly suggesting he was a threat to them. Another person genuinely, unironically compared Charlie Kirk to a slave master. Listen to this.
The way y'all acting over Charlie Kirk's death, it makes me realize that if slave masters died and we had social media and everything, y'all would feel bad.
What? This girl on TikTok, oh my God, 78,000 people liked that video, saying that Charlie Kirk, because he was pro-MAGA, because he had conservative views and went around and spoke his mind, exercising his human and constitutional rights, whether you agree with him or not, is akin to a slave master who beat and whipped people into oppression and slavery. This is absolutely detached from reality. There is no comparison between going around on college campuses and saying right-wing opinions in a modern political context and people who forcefully subjugated black people into chattel slavery. That's deranged. You are dehumanizing people in the mainstream of conservative politics to this dangerous level. And that's how we get here. Obviously, it's too soon to say with any final confidence. They haven't even apprehended the shooter yet as of this recording, so we don't know the exact motivations. But we are in an environment where left and right, but particularly on the internet and social media, it's the far left doing this, where they are dehumanizing and vilifying everyone with views to the right of Barack Obama and acting like they're all just Nazis and fascists and therefore fair game. This is a recipe for civil war. I'm not joking. I'm not being hyperbolic. And it has to stop. People have to get a grip, or we are cooked as a country. This next woman on TikTok scolded people who are actually sad and offering condolences to Charlie for thinking they are morally superior to the people who celebrate murder. Yes, seriously, listen to this.
You're not a better person than other people just because you aren't happy when terrible people die. Like, you're not gonna get any brownie points. It doesn't make you a better person. Like, if you just can't find it in yourself to be happy that there is one less terrible person on this earth, then okay. But you're not better than other people just because you're not able to do that. You're not. You're really not. You haven't won the fucking Nobel Peace Prize in empathy. You're not better than other people just because you feel sad when terrible people die. In fact, I think that you're spineless. I think that you're a coward. Stand for something. But at the very least, you're not better than anybody else just because you can't feel that. Especially when we're celebrating people dying, that definitely would celebrate when something bad happens to minorities and women specifically. I can't be gaslit into feeling bad about the deaths of people like that. I don't care. I do think it's okay to wish death upon terrible people. I think it's okay to wish death upon anybody that I don't like, actually.
That video, over 100,000 likes as of the time of this recording. I think it's okay to actually wish death on anybody. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. I don't know how to explain this to you. Also, it's all just based on lies and falsehoods. The idea that Charlie would be happy that people were killed or harmed who are women or black or anything, I don't think is true. I think is a caricature of his views. Regardless, even if that were true, and again, I don't think it is, two wrongs don't make a right. And if you feel the same way, then you're the same as this version of him that you're imagining. So you're not any better. But more broadly, I mean, you guys, these people on the internet, first off, I'm sorry, you actually are morally superior if you're able to feel empathy and sympathy for your fellow Americans who are brutally victimized by political terrorism than if you're not. If you are pro-terrorism, you actually are morally worse than the people who are against terrorism. This is just morality 101. And you've just revealed yourself to be an evil person. There's really no other way to put it. Now, many others on TikTok tried to make a hypocrisy point that I just don't think hits the way they think it hits. Listen to this.
To the people on the right grandstanding about morality, saying, oh, I can't believe they're acting like this, I would like to see your posts about January 6th, when the House Speaker from Minnesota and her husband were taken out, and also when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to play this game. I was against the violent rioting on January 6th and assaulting police officers. I was against and just actually in horror at the murders of those Democratic lawmakers that he referenced at the state level. And then I was very upset by the horrific attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. Now, is it true that some right-wingers are also hypocritical and made memes and jokes about Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, getting hurt, or have made excuses or defended the violent rioters on January 6th? Yeah, that's true. Doesn't justify what happened to Charlie. Doesn't justify your own hypocrisy, because when people do this kind of haha, you're a hypocrite game, they don't seem to realize they're also saying they're hypocrites. Because what this man is saying is, well, sure, I don't care about Charlie, but violence against Charlie, but I was bothered by these other things and you weren't. Then you're also inconsistent. Then you're also a hypocrite, dude. Do you not see that? This is basic logic and math. It's not their strong suit. They're not sending their best TikTok. Actually, I think this is their best. And that's bleak. Now, this next nose ring, who, at least her account is accurately named, the name of the account is Dusty Old Witch Hag, posted this video getting almost 100,000 likes. Watch this.
And for those of you out here guys, it doesn't matter what your politics are. What happened to Charlie Kirk is wrong. Okay, talk about Gaza. It doesn't matter what politics are. What's happening in Gaza is wrong. What about hate crimes on trans people? It doesn't matter what your politics are. They're human. What's happening is wrong, right? Right? Or is it only wrong when it's a famous conservative influencer who's a white male?
Miss Nosering really thought she did a big one. She really thought she made a good point. Yes, innocent people dying in Gaza is horrible. Yes, actual hate crimes against trans people are horrible. No good person disagrees with that. So, also, Charlie Kirk being murdered in cold blood most likely because people don't like his opinions, is also evil. It's also horrible. But you're saying, oh, well, people don't care about this one, but they do care about this one. You also selectively care because you care about those things, but not Charlie Kirk dying. You think it's funny. You think it's great. Ha ha ha. Like, you're also a moral hypocrite then. I have no problem condemning all instances of political violence, all instances where innocent people are victimized. You're just as selective as the people you're dunking on, most of whom I think are imaginary. You're literally owning yourself. And people eat this up on TikTok. Miss Nosering here, getting 100,000 likes. Depressing, actually. Really bleak. Here's another nose ring crash out. That's the theme of today's episode. Watch this.
The fact that some of you are cheering on the fact that a man got shot in front of his 2 kids. I don't care! Oh my god, I'm sorry. Something just happened. Something just came out. Do you know what he said about those 2 kids that are his? I think someone was looking out for them. Get off my phone. Get off my phone if you think like that. Get off my fucking phone. I don't care. Get off my phone. Get off my phone. Get on my head. Get on my face.
88,000 likes on that, by the way. This is fine. We're fine. America's totally not cooked at all. I mean, what is going on? Charlie Kirk's children are not better off without their father, you monster. What are you talking about? You know what he said about them? What they're referencing is a comment he made about his hardline pro-life stance that includes in very upsetting and outlier cases where a minor is violated and becomes pregnant, including his own daughter. That, again, this was a hypothetical in a political debate. Doesn't mean he's a bad father. And also, if you actually believe abortion is killing a baby, that is a defensible position to hold. None of this is sane. You look absolutely deranged and evil, celebrating and cheering like this, that this guy died. It's sad. I'm sad for these people because they're lost. They are lost. And I don't know how pervasive is this, right? Like, I want some polling on this because is this 10% of progressives in America? Is this 40% of progressives in America? Is this 60% of progressives in America? Especially the young ones, especially online. We've seen this. This has been documented. The rise of online assassination culture, the simping for Luigi Mangione, the alleged murderer of a healthcare CEO, the memes and open support shown in polling by the Network Contagion Institute that I've covered on this show about people, left of center people, pluralities, supporting the assassinations of Elon Musk or Donald Trump. This is insane and dangerous. It will take us to a tit-for-tat escalation that ends in widespread bloodshed and chaos. I don't know how we fix this. I don't know how we arrest this slide we are in, but it is genuinely one of the most concerning things I've seen in my entire political career. It is. And so is this next thing, where they are redefining, and we've seen this is a recurring trend. They're redefining disagreement itself as a form of violence, which therefore justifies shooting someone because they did violence first with their opinion. Watch this genuinely Orwellian rant. Take a listen.
I fear that people don't understand that political violence isn't just gun violence. Charlie Kirk has been politically violent since he stepped in the game. That man is anti-trans, anti-women, anti-black people, anti-immigrants, and then some. And he puts his money where his mouth is, right? He funds anti-trans organizations. He funds media outlets that push red pill bullshit specifically to young men. He's one of the top dogs when it comes to dividing people politically. He has been politically violent for 10, 15 years now. And it's weird if you hop on this app and you think you're taking some like moral high ground by telling oppressed people that they don't get to be relieved at what happened today. I'm not pushing an agenda, but I understand their emotions. And you getting on this app as like a white man or someone who doesn't fully understand what's going on and saying, oh, well, no one deserves to be hurt. Charlie's been hurting people since he stepped in the game.
Guys, this is bleak. That video has over 2 million views and over 500,000 likes. This deranged woman equating opinions and words with violence. She's saying because Charlie disagrees with the idea that people can change their gender or has traditional views about women or any of these words and ideas he's advocated for, that is akin to violence, similar to shooting someone through the neck and causing them to bleed out in front of their children. That's insane. It's literally not true. Charlie has never engaged in political violence. You are defaming a dead man. And if you take this path to its logical conclusion, then what you're saying is it's okay to kill people for their opinions because their opinions are violence. No, violence is violence. Words are not violence. And once words become violence, we enter civil war as a society because your pro-abortion words are going to be, therefore, in many people's viewpoints, those are violent words. That's an act of violence against the unborn, that you're advocating for pro-choice messages. And then they, by your own logic, can be violent against you. They're just liberating the oppressed people, the unborn people you're advocating for the oppression of. No. Either we're a civil society, either we are a civilization that settles our differences through ballots and discussions, not bullets and bloodshed, or we are barbarians who kill each other for the things we say. It can't be both. It can't just be one way, but not the other. And that way, the way that crazies like this are advocating, and also throwing in random race baiting, but whatever, that way, madness lies. I really feel strongly that that's the case. But what do you guys think? Can you believe how deranged this discourse is? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Hit that like button while you are at it. Next, guys, we're going to check in with the socialist streamer Hasan Piker, one of the most popular political commentators on the internet, who did condemn the killing of Charlie Kirk, but then kind of proceeded to victim blame Kirk himself for his pro-gun advocacy and some of the comments that he's made opposing gun control, essentially saying that, like, well, Charlie got what he advocated for, and kind of victim blaming the man who'd just been murdered, the person whose family and children will now grow up without a father. This is, I guess, not surprising when you know about Hasan Piker, who has openly called for violence on his streams, who has openly supported terrorism, honestly, too many times to count. However, let's watch this clip where he victim blames the guy who was just murdered in cold blood. Listen to this.
He has said over and over again that it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment.
And that is part of liberty. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen.
The reason why I'm showing this is not to say, well, you know, tough titties or whatever. The reason why I'm showing this is because Charlie Kirk is a part of a machine, a right-wing media machine that has actively worked every single day to make your coworkers also feel comfortable with this violence. These people have played a formative role, and in Charlie Kirk's situation, he has played a formative role in his own demise by playing a part in a media landscape, in a media environment that normalizes his death and destruction. In his moment of his passing, when he got shot in the neck, he was still advocating for not only less gun control, but he was literally talking about how the only solution to gun violence is by stopping trans people. Because when he goes to these events, there are a lot of people who don't agree with him who attend to debate him. And one of these people was actually asking him a question. He said, Charlie, do you know how many trans people are mass shooters? He said, I don't know. Far too many. There's only been 5. Do you know how many mass shootings have taken place in the last 10 years, as opposed to the last 10 years of 5 trans shooters. And while he was in the process of responding to that by saying, well, do you mean gang violence or without gang violence? He got shot in the neck down to the last moment. Even in this moment, if they don't understand the severity of the problem of gun violence in this country, what is the reason why it happens in the United States of America and it doesn't happen anywhere else to the same frequency? I don't know what will cause them to recognize it.
Wow. I mean, so Hasan is not the only one who's digging up this old clip of Charlie discussing guns in America and the sad inevitability of some gun deaths if you have guns in a society. Lots of people are digging this up to try to dunk on Charlie before he's even been buried, I assume. But I find it sick. This video has over 1 million views on TikTok, nearly 200,000 likes from Hasan Piker. I just find it contemptible. Doesn't matter if you think Charlie Kirk's opinions about gun control are totally wrong. Dunking on him right after he died while his wife and kids are mourning, that's gross. That's grotesque. And I'm sorry, but there's no amount of wrongness that makes getting shot and killed in cold blood like comeuppance. I'll never believe that or endorse that. And the crazy thing about this is there's nothing wrong with what Charlie said in the clip. To me, I've seen that clip a bunch of times because people are circulating it over and over again to try to dunk on him after he was just killed. He didn't say anything untrue. He didn't say anything wrong. His argument was that you are not ever going to get gun deaths to zero when you have guns in a society. That's just obviously a correct statement. And when he says it's worth it, what he means is that it is better to have a society where people have guns to protect themselves, which happens tens to hundreds of thousands of times per year. I've seen estimates as high as millions of times per year. And then the amount of violent crimes with guns is actually smaller than that, according to some estimates. So his argument is that we are safer on net if people can defend themselves and have access to guns, even if, yes, some people will die from guns or because of guns in part. And gun deaths, unfortunately, a lot of those are self-inflicted, people ending their own lives. And in many of those cases, they would have done so with a different tool. So his point is just true, that the same way that when you have cars, people will die from using cars, as long as there are any guns at all. Unless you were to ban every gun in America, there will be gun deaths. So he was just making an argument about the sad reality of gun deaths being part of what it means to have an armed society. What he said is true, and I really don't think he ever intended to imply that the lives lost, therefore that was okay, or fine, or not sad, or not a tragedy, or not a crime. I think that's a total caricature or straw man of his perspective. When he's saying it's worth it, all he was saying, and that's been taken out of context, was that if the choice is to live in a society where people are armed and can defend themselves and protect their families from people who would do them harm, and as a result, there will be some gun deaths in your society, that he would rather live in that society where people have that right. That is a debatable proposition. You can argue with it. You can say he's wrong, explain why you think he's wrong. It's not evil, and it certainly doesn't justify or explain or really have anything to do with him being murdered in cold blood by somebody, I believe, using a bolt-action rifle. That's the early reporting, at least. So not even a gun that would have been banned by any proposed gun control that people talk about. Not an AR-15, not an assault weapon, which, by the way, fake, made-up term, not a real thing. The idea that you are dunking on this man to push your gun control narrative right now is just gross to me. And then like clip chimping him. Charlie Kirk, and I can relate to this a little as somebody who actually less than Kirk, but to a lesser extent, he spent thousands of hours on camera talking about complicated and contentious issues. And you're telling me that as soon as he died, people combed through all those thousands of hours to find 30 seconds they could take out of context and use against him. I think that's dumb. I think that's sick. Like, I just do. That's the difference between me and Hasan Piker. I will not do that. I promise you. And God forbid, I really hope this doesn't happen. If something terrible were to happen to Hasan, I will not discuss it and then bring up all the worst clips he's ever said and dunk on him. I wouldn't do that because I'm a decent person. But that's just me. You guys let me know what you think. Do you agree with Hasan? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed. And do hit that like button while you were at it. This has been a really tough episode, a tough couple of days for me. So I appreciate you guys supporting and engaging with the content. I really do. And now we're going to talk about the way that some MAGA personalities, media stars, thought leaders are responding to the horrific killing of Charlie Kirk, to the political assassination of him that I just think is so terrible and so horrible. But I'm also kind of concerned about the way that some people in MAGA world are responding. So here's a clip that features several prominent MAGA personalities, from Alex Jones to Fox News' Jesse Waters, declaring war, or saying that we are at war now with presumably the left because of this atrocity that was committed.
We're in a war. The left has been saying put a bullseye on Trump, a bullseye on his supporters.
Charlie Kirk's a casualty of war. We're in this country. We are.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it?
No. We are not at war. This is really dangerous rhetoric to be going with in response that could motivate retaliation or copycat violence from the right against the left. And I think these people need to be much more careful with their words, given the platform and the audience that they have, especially Jesse Waters over at Fox News. Who is they? Who is the left? A lot. I would say most of our fellow citizens who are Democrats or may have voted for Kamala Harris do not support the murder of Charlie Kirk. There are some crazies who absolutely do. And frankly, it's more than you would think online among young progressives, but even among many of them, they don't support this. So we are not at war with the left, the Democrats, these huge groups of people. And talking this way is so inflammatory. It could easily rile someone up to hurt someone else. And that's the last thing we need right now. We all need to be responsible with our rhetoric, take the temperature down. Okay? Yes, we can and should talk about the dangerous rise of political extremism and violence, but to be painting this narrative, like making people feel like they're under siege just because of this horrific incident and a couple others like it, I mean, something terrible could happen. I just think it's shameful rhetoric. I think it's really harmful. The vast majority of our fellow citizens do not want us dead. And yet you have people saying the Democrats all want us dead. The left all want us dead. So somebody might go shoot up a progressive meetup, go shoot up a Democratic rally because, oh, they're at war with us, so we're just fighting back. Be very careful with your words, people, in this kind of heated tipping point moment, especially because that's just not true. Most Americans, left, right, and center, are still against this. I truly believe that. But some of these MAGA influencers are just totally irresponsible with their rhetoric and their words. Joey Manarino said on X, MSNBC should lose their broadcast license before the end of the night. 3.1 million views. Hey, Joey, MSNBC doesn't have a broadcast license. They're cable news. Learn how things work before you run your mouth. Crazy thought. Also, I criticized the insane MSNBC victim blaming coverage. I criticized that terribly, but the idea that you would ban a network because a few guests or a few hosts said bad things is insane, censorious, un-American, totally against the First Amendment, not a thing. And cable news doesn't even need an FCC license. That's only for actual original. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so bleak. Joey also wrote, the Democrat Party must be classified as a domestic terror organization and their members and leaders treated accordingly. Enough is enough. Most of those members and almost all of those elected officials have come out and condemned this and never once encouraged anyone to kill Charlie Kirk. So that would be insane. You are recommending the arrest and prosecution of your political opponents for something they didn't do and never supported. So you're just trying to, this would be dictator mode. This would actually just be locking people up, locking up the political opposition. Okay, you're Vladimir Putin. Congrats, you are officially an authoritarian if this is what you're advocating for. Totally dispensing with freedom, free speech, the First Amendment, all of that. It's terrible stuff. Meanwhile, the MAGA influencer Laura Loomer wrote on X, it's time for the Trump administration to shut down, defund, and prosecute every single leftist organization. If Charlie Kirk dies from his injuries, his life cannot be in vain. We must shut down these lunatic leftists down once and for all. The left is a national security threat. Yeah, this is unhinged. This is dangerous rhetoric. This is crazy. This is actually insane. First off, Charlie Kirk believed in free speech in the First Amendment, and you cannot shut down and prosecute every group with different beliefs than you. If they've committed an actual crime, you could prosecute them, but that has always been true, and I'm sure the Trump administration was already going to do that, but simply for having left-wing beliefs or advocating for left-wing ideas isn't a crime and never can be in a free society, and one with the First Amendment that Charlie Kirk dedicated his life to upholding. We must shut down these lunatic leftists down. The left is a national security threat. First off, the left is a national security threat is far too broad a generalization. Certain extremists and rising movements on the left are a genuine national security threat, but the answer is not to just ban and censor people into infinity and become an authoritarian state. Because then it's like the whole point of the national security threat is that it could destroy our nation. But if you've just become a monstrous authoritarian nation to stop the national security threat, you've destroyed the nation. You've destroyed what makes America a beautiful and amazing and unique nation, which is freedom and limited government and our pluralistic, diverse society. So I think these people are crashing out. It is understandable to be emotional in the moment after something like this happens. It is not okay to become deranged and exploit this tragedy and people's emotions about it to advocate for the destruction of the things that make America great and the destruction of the things that Charlie Kirk dedicated his life to upholding, which was free speech and civil discourse. I mean, seriously. There's also just the conspiratorial element to it all. There's this, I don't even know what his exact ideology is, but he's like buddies with Candace Owens, this influencer, Ian Carroll, and he's already suggesting that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Here's his tweet from this morning, September 11th, 7:07 a.m. Yesterday was a turning point for Israel-U.S. relations. Less than 24 hours, and the internet already figured out who the most likely culprit was. He was their friend. He basically dedicated his life to them, and they murdered him in front of his family. Israel just shot themselves. What the This tweet has 5 million views of this influencer just blaming, with no facts, no reason, blaming Israel for killing Charlie Kirk. They haven't even apprehended a shooter. And you've already decided it's Israel. Some of y'all are just conspiratorial, brain rotted, and yes, anti-Semitic, clearly. I don't know what to tell you, but that is wildly irresponsible to suggest with no evidence to just leap and blame them. And it makes no frickin' sense. Charlie Kirk was a defender, supporter, and ally of Israel. Like, the fact that they would kill him doesn't even make sense on its own terms, even though you're already suggesting it with no evidence. It's like, how are people this reckless and reprehensible with their platforms? Public figures with millions of followers. I just think it's such a terrible, terrible way to respond to a tragedy like this. And there needs to be more of a consequence when people do this crap, when they make insane statements, predictions without any evidence at all, statements like this, and then it doesn't turn out to be true. Audiences need to punish them. Stop trusting these people. Stop listening to them. Stop streaming their podcasts. Because if not, they'll just keep saying crazier and crazier shit for attention and keep polluting the American internet and media ecosystem even more than they already have. This is such a horrible episode for me. I'm sorry. Like, everything is so bleak right now on both sides. And I just want us to get back to an America where we coexist, we live peacefully, we believe in free speech, and we hash out our differences with neighbors without declaring war on them, without calling them all racist Nazis because they disagree with us, without suggesting they're all anti-American traitors who need to be shut down and locked up. Touch grass, people. Go outside and remember that we live in a beautiful, prosperous, unique, and wonderful country, and most of us are still fundamentally good at heart. And we need to come together, not tear ourselves apart. That's my take, and that's really all I can do. I have more stuff. Maybe I'll talk more tomorrow to cover and talk about, but I think that's all I can do for today. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please do make sure to subscribe if you aren't yet. Hit that like button while you're at it. Yada, yada, yada. We'll be back with more Brad versus everyone real soon. Thanks, guys.